Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. It is Attorney Danielle Patterson, candidate for the 190th State Representative seat. And I'm joined today by David Foster of.
Integrity Real Estate Services. Hello,
There you
everyone.
go. Thank you. And before we get started, there were a couple things that I forgot to do yesterday, and I want to do them today because I told you I want to hear about all your good news and things that we have as our reasons to celebrate. Because every day I'm celebrating being healthy right now, and I'm so glad that you're healthy enough to join us today, and hopefully we all stay that way. But yesterday I missed out and forgot to give the big bull Mark Murray a happy 50th birthday. Yes, it was the big 50, and I saw he's been partying like a rock star in the house by himself, on the deck. Well, and we will party together once this is all done, and we don't have to be socially distanced. But I see that you definitely brought it in as a celebration of life. So that's one. And two, I got to give one of my little young Johns a happy birthday today. So Davita Lee, Donna Lee's daughter, I have to say, one of my original junior divas. I'm so happy to see the woman that you were growing up to become. So I wish you a happy birthday. And I guess we will have to help you party like a rock star again when this is all over. But today, kiss your baby, stay safe, and take care of your mom, okay? So today, we're going to kind of follow up on the conversation that we had previously with Kamari Ellis, and we were talking about finances in this economy. And one of the things that actually people were hitting up my inbox about and had questions about what to do about mortgages and what to do about real estate. Now, let me tell you why. Spring is one of the times that houses go back up on the market. People start thinking about that new start. People want to buy and move in the summer so they can be ready for their kids to be in their new school district and a new property when we get started. And they can enjoy their property all over the summer and get it to where it needs to be on the regular. And then what happened? Coronavirus. So I reached out to David Foster because David Foster is a realtor that I trust, and I know that he understands the needs of a population that's a little bit more diverse, sometimes has some challenges with trying to get into properties and even assessing exactly what they need and what they can buy. So we're going to just start out talking about generally buying and selling now, but I also have some questions to him about investing. And one of those reasons is because the 190th is another area that's kind of open for gentrification right now. And there are some hot buys out there. As I saw, definitely there are developers who are very, very interested. As I was knocking doors, there were some blocks where I saw 5 and 6 of those lock boxes. And for those of you who don't know, when the lock boxes are on the property, that means that the properties are hot. It's an area, and I know that all of you are getting all of those. We'll buy your house for cash. We'll buy your house for cash. Just give us a call. All the air property that's running around. So we're going to talk to Dave about some of those things as well, and how to get proper value on properties if we decide that we want to dispose of them for income. So going over to Dave, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, Dave?
I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Pennsylvania and Delaware. I've been in the business for, I think, about 12 years now. I started out in '07, '08 when the market tanked and rode the market all the way back up. That's basically my story.
Well, that's fascinating, especially because there are some excerpts who said that we're about to bottom out again. What are your views on that?
Uh, this coronavirus is going to have a ripple effect, and it's not going to be now. It's probably going to be maybe 3 to 6 months from now, where people who are behind on their mortgage, they go through their forbearance, maybe 90 days, and then come out and may still be behind. So there are going to be some hiccups, and the market is definitely going to be different than it was before. A lot of people are saying, should I sell my house or should I buy a house? I get a lot of them questions, just like you've been getting them.
Mhm.
I know that's the issue that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. So let's start right now talking about, what it's been like in the beginning of this. So I know Dave always has a deal going on. So what was it like trying to close the deal now?
Um, there's a lot of different things going on. Number one, real estate offices are closed. Number
Mhm.
two, title companies are closed. Some are open, some are still working from home. So a lot of the title searches are not completed in order to go to settlement. And then not only that, the mortgage companies have been kind of on a lag behind. I was able to successfully close a deal the day before yesterday. We have issues with the title company getting together, the mortgage company, but we was all able to work together and get property to settlement. One of the things that the mortgage company did that was kind of new, they had the buyer actually electronically sign 50% of their documents, and then the other 50% when they walked in and sat with the title clerk.
So was that just to limit the amount of time that they had to be present?
Yes, yes, it is. And
Okay.
we tried to keep everyone separate, disinfect everything, wash our hands, things of that nature. But we was able to close the deal.
Well, just thinking about some challenges we've had in law offices is that a lot of law offices weren't really ready to be electronic. We had some old school lawyers who didn't want to know about electronic and digital signing of documents, who didn't believe in, electronically transmitting them. Were you kind of more ready than others?
Me personally, yes. A lot of my stuff is already digital. I'm very tech savvy, so a lot of my forms, everything was in the cloud. I use DocuSign as much as possible. A lot of the older population, I have to actually meet with them, wet signatures, things of that nature. But the title company was up on it. My office was up on it. We was able to successfully close. And being part of the technology wave is really what's going to get people over the hump in this day and time.
Well, let me ask you that. Not just thinking about the technology wave, thinking about the person who was buying. Were they a little bit nervous or apprehensive about, going ahead with settlement with some uncertainty?
No, and without going into the actual deal, the person was a strong buyer. And what I mean by a strong buyer, they had at least 3 to 6 months of their mortgage payment already saved.
Mm-hmm.
Their credit score was strong. This was not like a FHA. They needed to get a grant program because all of the grant programs are shut down until the city opened back up. So it was basically a conventional loan where they put 20% down. The funds was no problem. They didn't have to go to the bank to get the settlement check. They actually wired the funds directly to the title company, and then the title company wired the funds over. So it wasn't too many moving parts to it. It was basically everything wired, everything signed, DocuSign. You sign a document, it was over.
Now, would you recommend that most people move forward with their search for buying a house right
Searching
now?
for a house,
Mhm.
yes. If you're not in a financial situation to have at least 3 to 6 months of your mortgage payment saved, I wouldn't say move forward. And also, um, your employment is a stable employment. Do you know if you're going to be employed next week, next month, and things of that nature? You have to look at the whole picture and case by case what go on. When I meet someone, I know who are the stronger buyers and I know who are the weaker buyers. If you counting on getting a $10,000 grant, which you cannot get right now, if you're using your income tax as a down payment and your job may be shaky, I would say at least hold up until the economy get a little bit stronger and we get over the coronavirus.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said who's stronger versus who's weaker. Let's say we get some people who tune into live or watch this later and they reach out to you. Would you be able to give them that open and honest assessment then?
Absolutely. Once we look at their financial situation, how much they have saved up, their credit score, things of that nature, I can tell them. If you tell me, hey, I'm scraping together 2 or 3 thousand and I want to buy a house, and I know you're going to need more than that. So I'm probably going to have to negotiate seller assist. That's when the seller help you out financially, and then I'm going to have to help you apply for a grant. But right there, I know no grants are being process at this time. So we definitely have to wait until we get the grants back up and rolling.
Okay. But when you say wait until, so is there any benefit to starting the process, knowing that you're going to kind of be in the queue while you continue to gather your funds? I'm just trying to think about people who might be in a wait and see and holding position.
Absolutely. Starting the process will look something like this. You speak to me, then I can say, okay, you have your last 2 year taxes, you have your last 2 months bank statements, you have your last 2 months pay stubs. Those are the three prerequisites. Now I'm going to put you in contact with a loan officer that I work with to say, hey, we can get you approved, but there are a few caveats we need to get over. You don't have all your down payment assistance, things of that nature will actually get you where you need to go and in the right direction, but we just cannot get you out there looking for a house. Because, for example, if you want to get the $10,000 grant from the city of Philadelphia, you cannot have a property under contract and then try to go back and get the grant. You have to go through the class first and then a one on one session, and then you can actually find a house and write it up and get it under contract.
I see Emmanuel Bussy and a couple of our DKOD friends are tuning in. Just want to give them a shout out. And actually, somebody actually asked me this question. I really didn't know the answer, and you may not either, because when things are changing literally every second, sometimes the rules change and we may not be ready, but it's just a thought. Thinking about how you're having those taxes up and you need them for the last 2 years. So let just as we're moving forward, and we know that the stimulus checks are on their way, and we also know that you are actually going to be required, depending upon what your income level is, to repay a certain percentage of that stimulus check back. Will that actually impact what it looks like for your taxes in your ability to buy a house?
Um, I can't answer about the stimulus check, but like if you buying a house today, 9 times out of 10, if you didn't file your taxes, we're not going to use 2019. I'm
Okay.
probably going to use 17 and 18. Now, if you made more in 2019, I would probably encourage you to file your taxes so we can put 2018 and 2019 together in order to qualify you for a mortgage.
Okay. Thank you. Now, we've talked about those folks who are already buying a house, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about some people who might see the economic downturn as a potential investment opportunity. And I'm specifically thinking about those areas in West Philadelphia, as we were kind of just talking about how large the 190th district is. For those of you, I always say all the time, it's West Philly, baby, but it's about 9 different neighborhoods and 8 different zip codes. So we're going from Mill Creek to Haddington and Dunlap, up through Cathedral Park, East and West Parkside, over to Belmont Village, into East Powelton, and all the way over to Winfield Heights, including, don't forget, crossing the river to a little bit of Swamp Bottom. I think that's so crazy they call it that, but the East Allegheny. So it's a very diverse bit of property. And like I told you, that as I knocked doors, I saw so many lock boxes in some actually surprising places. They weren't where you would traditionally think you would see the new development going on. So what are you seeing on your end as a realtor, Dave?
Um, I get a lot of calls from people who may have called 1-800 We Buy Ugly Houses.
Hmm.
And they tell me, oh, this person offered me this amount and they promised me this, they promised me. There's a lot of promises being made that are not fulfilled. Um, if you are contacted by someone that is not a licensed realtor or real estate agent and they're promising you they're going to give you top dollar for your house, always say reach out to a professional and have them look at the situation before you deal with someone that's not a professional. I'll give a quick story. I had a client of mine that he told me someone was buying his house and he was losing it to sheriff sale the next day. Well, the person did not buy his house and he was going to lose his house the next day. He called me at 8 o'clock at night. I was able to come in, actually replace a buyer, get him more money than he was supposed to get. And I was able to go down to the sheriff's sale and save his house and actually sell his property, which turned out really good because I got him enough money that he was able to buy another property with the proceeds from his house, and he was able to have a roof over his head.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, as an attorney, that a lot of times I get my case was just like JoJo Smokies from down at the barbershop, and he told me if I just did X, Y, and Z, and then I could do it, and then and what you think. And I've actually gotten in my 20 years a little bit more savvy, and I tell him I think that you should contact JoJo's cousin at the barbershop because I went to school for a lot of years and I've been practicing for a lot more so that I can give you a different level of advice. And you know what? Typically, my advice is a little bit better. I'm going to just say even a little bit better than JoJo from the barbershop cousin. I don't know. And also, I'm also able to always explain how the situation was just a little bit different. So, and I'm sure that you get this a lot, Dave. I've never had two cases that were exactly the same. And I'm sure you've never had two deals that were exactly the same.
No, it's never that way. But I always recommend to tell people to reach out to a professional and let them give them the numbers. I'll tell people to look at it this way. When you come to a realtor, they're going to try to get you top dollar. When you go to the other guys, they're going to try to get you as less as possible. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, I'll share something personal with you. Is that I had a family member die and was helping my cousin with the property, and so we had actually never been into the property, either one of us. And she said, well, they told me they would give me $25,000 for this property at 20th and Olney. And I'm like, it's at 20th and Olney. It's across street from LaSalle. So it doesn't matter if it's a shell, it's worth more than $20,000.
Absolutely.
And I know that my great aunt and uncle were living in there. So I can say there's not a shell. I'm like, well, did somebody go in and take all the pipes and rip all the floorboards out? She went in there and slapped on a coat of paint and rented that thing for $1,800 a month to some students. So and was able to actually hold on to the property. So and then 5 years later actually sold it for a couple of $100,000. So she was able to actually see an investment in the property that my great aunt and great uncle had spent a lifetime trying to secure. So don't let the immediate greed get you in the immediate need. And I'm not even gonna call it greed right now because I know a lot of people, and there's a lot of air property in Philadelphia, as we know. And I'm just going to give a shout out to Tracy Gordon for really, really trying to make sure that we are trying to stabilize that so that people have access to their property and that these tangled titles are getting themselves together. But what we need to know is that the immediate need for money is not going to sustain us for what the value of the property is. So please just really think, do you really need the money that badly? Now, giving it back over to you, Dave. So what else would you need if you were, you would come into some of that air property and were thinking about maybe getting rid of it? Are those the kind of properties that you actually list as well?
Absolutely. The first thing is, did the person die with a will? If they didn't die with a will, then we need to probate the person who passed away estate. It's a fee for that. Have you heard anything about they're going to waive the probate fee until you sell the property? Something through Tracy Gordon?
So actually, I've heard about the proposed legislation, but I don't know if it's actually been written into law. But I will reach out to Tracy and find out so we can know definitively. And for those of you who are out there who may not know, one of the reasons that people have not been able to probate wills and trying to do away with some of the air property is that it's expensive. So, and people don't have the money. So, it might be.
I run into that a lot.
Yeah, it's several $100s to probate the will. So what happens is until they're right at the point that they're going to sell, they're not raising the estate. So we haven't raised the estate. We got back taxes on it because for all the time, you only have 9 months from somebody's date to actually raise an estate without penalty. So now we've got back taxes due and owing. So they've got to settle that up. And
gas and water.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's actually a fee for that, and then you got to pay the gas, water, and the property taxes. Do they go at the time of the closing?
Yes.
Okay.
Gas is lienable, water is lienable, and your real estate taxes.
Yes. So
and whatever is out there once we had a title come back needs to be taken care of.
Yes. And so what happens is, so you think that you're now getting ready to, be able to sell the property, and you can't. Or you can't sell it for what you thought you were trying to, because you kind of like owe more on it than you did. So one of the thoughts was that we'll waive this, City of Philadelphia will waive the probate fees until such time as you're at the settlement table. So you don't have to pay them in advance. It would actually come out of the probate, it would actually come out of the sale of the property. So it's no money out of pocket, in an effort to try to motivate more of us to get these tangled titles together.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
So I definitely will follow up on that, because that's really good information. Actually, I forgot about it. As everything is changing daily, some things kind of fall by the wayside. So thank you for that question.
I think that piece of legislation is very important. I deal with a lot of exactly what we're talking about. And when I ask them that they probate the estate, of course they say no. And then they like, we want to sell the house, but we don't have the funds to probate the estate. I had an example where a young lady, in order to make the transaction go forward, she actually went to go do like one of the car title loans to get the money up. And it wasn't nothing I can do. But I said, where did you get the money from? He said, oh, I went and did this in order to get the money. But I was able to settle on a property and got her a lump sum of money. And I prayed that she went and paid that car loan off.
Well, I'm glad it was able to work out for her, because that's always scary. I see the car loans go exactly the other way all the time in my law practice. So many times
Yep.
people just can't ever get out from underneath that.
Yep, absolutely correct.
So we're coming to about the close of talking to Dave Foster about real estate, but there were actually specifically some things that I wanted to mention to the people, the public at large. And Dave, you can hang out with us if you like. I'm not pushing you off; just don't know what your time is like. But actually, there was another question that was asked to me, and this time it was really about the stimulus check. So it's kind of like stimulus check part two. And
I'm
so
here to listen to it. I don't know too much about it. You can educate me also.
okay. Well, I did a live a little bit earlier in the week explaining what the stimulus package actually meant to you. I think that was Monday. I don't know about all of y'all, but every day I'm like, I had to check the calendar to see what day it is at this point, because I've been in the house so long. So I think that was Monday. We actually really talked about the stimulus check and what it meant to you. So now what we know is that it looks like it's going to be $1,200. So not $1,500, not $1,000, $1,200 per person, up to someone who makes $75,000 a year. And after that, it decreases up to somebody who makes $99,000 a year. And if you make over 99, then you just don't get anything. Okay, so that's the way it works now. And so people go, oh, this is great, I'm going to get this money. Well, I was trying to explain, and I did this in a live, and I think people didn't understand that it's almost a loan from the government to you. So it is. It's a loan. You're going to get a check. Yes, you will. You are going to get a check. But please understand that you still actually will have to you'll have to identify that money on your income taxes. And because I'm a little bit older than some people in Facebook land, so I'm going to say that I remember when we got the $600 from President Bush, and all those years ago. And back then I was really young, and $600 was everything to me. Okay, I'm gonna just be honest. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't getting ready to get my whole entire life with this $600. Okay. And then the next year came and I filed for taxes, and now I still don't have any kids, so clearly I have any then. And I didn't have a house, and I had nothing. I was I even in law school? I can't even remember where I was when Bush was the president. Was I in law school? Yeah, I was in law school. Sorry. And so I was still a dependent technically. And I got, I used to get those, my whole income tax refund would be like $270, which still meant I was balling. I want y'all to know that still meant I was balling. So you add $600 to it, I was really balling. And so it was a little box on there that said, did you receive the stimulus check? Did you remember this, Dave? I don't know. It was a box on your income tax when you go file it. And it said, did you receive the stimulus check? And on TurboTax, my little refund went from $272 to like $17. And I was so upset. So I want the people out there to know that we are going to see an impact on our taxes as a result of actually getting the stimulus. Now, I know that people need this money. I know the first of the month is coming for everybody. I know that I need to sit down and actually start looking at some books and paying some bills. So I know that people are definitely between a rock and a hard place, but I got to prepare you for the future to understand that you are going to see impact on your taxes later. And I need you to know that because a lot of people really rely on their taxes for their head start for the next year. The reason that taxes come when they do at the end of that is to stimulate the economy. That's actually the purpose of it, that the refund checks come when they do. You're coming out of Christmas, everybody spent all their money, and in order for you to get you back in the stores and to keep the economy growing, that's when the income tax checks come. That's really facts. So you need to understand that that's going to, decrease possibly the amount that you get in your income taxes, and you need to plan accordingly. But what I really want to talk to the people about is this. I can't believe that we're this excited about $1,200. I think it really says a lot about us. And it's not negative because I'm looking forward to my $1,200 too. But I cannot believe that I live in allegedly the richest country in the world. And we have people that can't feed their children and they can't feed their families. They can't buy their meds when we're in the middle of a pandemic. And that $1,200 is what we have to look forward to. I think that we need to demand more from our government, and we need to demand more from our business leaders as far as what they're paying us. There's still the fight for 15. And the reason this is so important to fight for 15 right now is that studies show that 70% of the workforce that is risking their lives for those daily hourly workers, they are Black and brown people. So they're people who look like me, because they still need their hourly wage employees and they still need their paychecks to feed their families, just as we all do, but they're not professionals. These are not the doctors and lawyers and Indian chiefs. These are the folks at Amazon who are still delivering your packages so that I could still get ink toner, so I could still continue on with my documents so I could work at home. Those are the food delivery people who are making sure that you're still getting your food to your house. They're the guys who are driving the trucks and unloading over at the Giant and the Acme so that we can still make sure that we can run for toilet paper every day. Those are the people who are actually risking their lives every day. So I want to give a shout out and a huge thank you to those people, because the reason that we're able to work from home and to continue to sustain ourselves is because those people are out there risking their lives every single day. But this is the richest country in the world. Should they have to? And that's where I'm going to leave you today. Dave, if you can tell us where you are and how they can get in contact with you.
David Foster from Integrity Real Estate Services, 6335 Main Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19144. My phone number is 215-779-2862.
Thank you, Prue. I absolutely agree with this one. Yes, they are allowing us to survive this. They are our heroes. You have said a whole mouthful there, Prue, because without them, we would not be surviving, which is why I always say we will do better together. This is Danielle Patterson, candidate for state rep in the 190th. I will see you tomorrow at 3:30 on Friday for a little bit of girl talk. I know that some people besides me are going crazy being in the house, so we're going to have some fun. So I hope that I can see you then. Thank you for coming on, Dave. You provided so much wonderful information and insight, and we'll bring you back because everybody's going to be buying a house as soon as we get this $1,200 stimulus check.
Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate you.